Go ahead.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the podcast this week for 16bitaudit.com. Right now we're post E3. We're going to do a little bit of discussion on kind of what we saw, what we liked. I guess we could start off with, like, who do you guys think had the strongest conference?
It's toss-up between Microsoft and Sony for me because I really did like, I don't know, I can't really decide. I liked both of the things. I really liked that they announced Assassin's Creed for Vita. You know, I liked the gameplay of The Last of Us, but I also liked the, like some of the stuff that Microsoft did. Their smart glass thing was kind of neat too. But
Gears Judgment.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Got a lot of good gameplay.
it was. Oh yeah, if we can touch on Judgment for a moment, I kind of know now why at the beginning at the first Gears, Baird got pissed off that he got passed up for promotion. We find out he was a lieutenant before first Gears, so we get to find out why he got demoted.
For me, I think Sony had the strongest conference, and the reasons are, Sony convinced me that I need to buy a damn PlayStation 3 yet again, and that's saying a lot because I've owned a PlayStation 3 literally 5 times and have played 5 different games
3.
and sold it 5 different times after Heavy Rain, Uncharted 1, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, and Metal Gear Solid 4. So now with The Last of Us, which is my most anticipated game of the year, and beyond, and PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, I think Sony is going to have a very strong year this year if they get all 3 titles out.
Yeah, I forgot they actually announced that for the Vita too, with
The
crossplay.
With crossplay.
That which is going to give me a reason to get it.
Awesome.
So.
There's nothing not to like about a more mature version of Super Smash Bros. So I'm all for it. Other than that, I know Scott mentioned earlier, well, before we were on the podcast, that he thought Ubisoft had the best conference.
As sketchy as their conference was, you know, with all the sexual innuendos throughout the whole thing, which I thought was pushing it for an E3 conference, but you know,
They announced a shit ton of games, and they all look good. They all look
Watch
really
Dogs
good.
being the best looking one.
Game of show, maybe.
Yeah,
I still would tip my hat to The Last of Us just because the demo they showed was so tense. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it, but there's a movie called The Road, which is very depressing, and it's all, you know, end of days kind of stuff. But it was very intense and very emotionally like riveting, and I want to play that game badly, and I will buy a PlayStation 3 for it.
and me being the assassin-ish character player I am, Watch Dogs really drew me in because, you know, you can do stuff without being detected. Like they showed in the demo, they changed streetlights to cause an accident. I mean, just imagine the possibilities of what else they can do. And from what it looked like, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be co-op. Some sort of co-op in there, because at the end they showed somebody else in the same world up on a building, like interacting with stuff too. So I don't know how that's going to be, if it's going to be multiplayer, co-op, what, but it looked like there was something in there. I'm not
Definitely something to look into. It'd be
It'd be
taking
a game like that with co-op would be just, I don't even know, intense.
just something serious. I mean, with the lackluster of serious co-op games nowadays, that mostly revolves around just cheesy plugged-in co-op. Like, oh god, I can't even think about the last one I played.
Fable?
Yeah, I'd go with Fable.
Fable is some of the most
As-
ridiculous co-op I've ever seen. I mean, it's absolutely pointless.
As good of a game as Fable is, the co-op is very much lackluster.
But I will always say this: I would rather have at least an option of terrible co-op. Like, I don't care how much time you spend on it. I at least want to be able to play a game with my friends. Like, I don't. As long as there's not a multiplayer component.
I kind of disagree with you because I totally think that games now are so focused on having some form of multiplayer content
just to get that passcode.
Yeah, that they.
I don't want them to add it just
passcode
because
is one,
I want.
But
Yeah.
the fact that everybody demands that multiplayer content for every damn game on Earth. Mass Effect 3 shockingly had very good co-op / multiplayer. But too many times, and an example is Max Payne. The co-op in that, or the multiplayer in that game is absolute shit.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking multiplayer. I'm talking straight up co-op.
Well, no,
I
what
wanna
I'm
be able to
saying,
play
even
the
in
game
that
through with
aspect.
somebody.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is I think developers are so focused because so many, like multiplayer, Call of Duty has made it so everybody wants to play with somebody else all the time. And my point, perfect example, Dead Space 3. co-op enabled. Now, I'll tell you one thing about Dead Space. I like the fact that I'm by myself and it's scary as shit.
Oh, yeah.
I can understand that.
You know, if you have another player there, it totally takes the tension away from the game.
It takes away that isolationist feeling that you have in survival horror. Like, if I want to bring this up just briefly, the Umbrella Chronicles and Darkside Chronicles that released for the Wii, just rehashes of everything before 4. I mean, those games originally were just you play as the one character. They may have been teams of them, but you moved around separately. You weren't both in the area, so there was that feeling that there was no one there.
Talking about the way teams split up in gears, you kind of go for
just like that. But that had a different sort of sense. It's just horror games should not have co-op in that aspect, because it takes away more of the intuitiveness.
Well, in Dead Space 2, another EA title, introduced multiplayer, which, yet again, the single-player game was great. The multiplayer was totally mediocre. Not every single game has to have multiplayer. Doesn't have to.
I understand, like, with Fallout and Skyrim, I can understand arguments for both sides. Personally, I would love to play Fallout or Skyrim with my friends.
Well, there's so many possibilities in that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, any of the games where you can have computer-controlled companions who are running with you, sure. Okay, you know, I would rather have a human that I could be like,
I
was just going to bring that up, because that seemed like a perfect one that could have
supported co-op.
Essentially, because they are so focused on having multiple party members, it's like, why can't one of these people be somebody else? Like, not an NPC.
It's like, just to bring up the Tales series, I mean, that game is, from the get-go, supportive of co-op gameplay, and you'd rather have companions than have the computer control them and not know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
But not every game that you see nowadays needs the multiplayer that the people are saying it should. Skyrim and Fallout, best examples of open world co-op that could actually work.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and I guess that's why they're making the MMO. But speaking of co-op, the Rayman demo at the Ubisoft conference for the Wii U, the co-op demo, that looked pretty cool. It's like they mixed a side-scroller with a Guitar Hero type element, where your friend was like pushing on-screen buttons, making a song at the same time you're running through the level, and they had to push it as you pass that spot on the level. I don't know, it was pretty cool. It's just something innovative that made me think more about the Wii U and what it can do.
Yeah. Touching on the Wii U, a lot of titles that got released or announced for the Wii U that previously on PS3 and 360. Mass Effect 3 got announced.
Yay.
Did Dead Space? No.
Darksiders.
At this point, I don't even see the reason for it, other than maybe people who have missed the title, which really isn't going to be as much. But nobody who played Mass Effect is going to go and buy it on the Wii U if they played it on the other systems.
Unless they're doing something with this dual screen integration with your TV screen and the integrated.
But even then, is it enough to warrant playing the whole thing again?
And the biggest thing I'm seeing here is very much similar to what happened with the Wii when it released. Microsoft had they had exclusivity, or at least for a period, on Dead Rising, the original one, and the Wii came out with a cut-down version, Dead Rising Chop to Chop. I'm wondering if this is just the same thing, repeating itself with the Batman entry. It's not a new Batman title. It's just a new controller integration title, which is, you know.
And at the moment, Wii U, they're going to run with the fact that they can play all these games that, you know, are out, blah, 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 but 1 to 2 years down the road, they're going to be behind the party again when Sony and Microsoft release their consoles.
Just like last year.
Wii's not going to be able to keep up and play all the new games, so they're going to come out with crappier versions, or they're going to come out with, you know, not at all. It's like,
if the career span of the Wii proved anything, it's that the publishers and third-party companies are going away from the Wii. Nintendo's losing a lot of third-party support for their console just because of all the gimmicks.
Well, and specifically with smart glass, now, you know, Xbox is introducing something that kind of competes with the Wii U as far as the controller goes, and, you know, again, a couple years down the line, it's almost going to make the Wii U obsolete.
And then Sony's going to come out with their own version, and
it's not going to be as good. And
they're talking. Actually, I heard third, like
PlayStation.
offhand, mentioning that they're going to try their suggestions on integrating it with the PS Vita somehow, make that a third, like a second screen. But why, if you're someone who doesn't own a Vita, how can you justify spending that much money for Vita just to get that dual screen integration?
Because of the cross-play.
Exactly.
Is one of the biggest things that's going to draw people in. They're going to start giving, well, they're already giving discounts if you buy both the Vita and the PS3 version. And I heard rumors, 100% rumors, that maybe in the future some games will have, like, the PS3 version will include the Vita version. Maybe.
So that would
pure speculation.
Because, I mean, realistically, you may want to play MLB The Show wherever the hell you go, but you don't want to spend $60 on a PS3 game and then $50 on a Vita game.
Exactly.
That's just stupid. Like,
exactly.
Like, think about it the way they do DVDs. Oh, you know, you have a Blu-ray, you get a digital copy too. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
you know, like we really need to start thinking about that. Or even if you just had to pay a minimal fee, like $10 to license it to be able to use it on your Vita, but to have to buy 2 actual games is kind of just no.
It's
no.
But they're bringing PS1 classics to Vita for anybody who cares. So
did they make any mention of that? I know 7 and another game were announced. Are they revamping them? Are they?
Parasite Eve would be nice.
Sure, but
I'll tell you, something I was actually impressed with was the Konami booth. I don't know if anyone caught that press conference, but they announced, once again, Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. I said my piece last week, but they also announced Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate for the 3DS that ties in between the 2 Lords of Shadow game, involving Simon and Trevor Belmont, the first 2 ones, if you remember back from the NES era. 2D side-scrolling with 3D backgrounds, and they're bringing back my weapon of choice. Very nice. I am impressed. I cannot wait for this one. Yeah. They announced Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance again, but they showed not movie footage, but gameplay footage. Outsourcing it to Platinum, the company Platinum Games. Very good decision. Very action-oriented. And they display a lot of beautiful, bloody violence, and I am very excited for it.
I'm nervous. I'm definitely nervous about Metal Gear Revengeance.
Well, if you want to, whenever they also announced the Zone of the Enders HD collection. I mean, if anyone got interested before, I mean, you might want to just rent it, or maybe you'll pick it up. But the big draw is that they're putting a Metal Gear Rising demo, just like they did when the first Zone came out with Metal Gear Solid 2. So the Konami booth, aside from a lot of press talk and a lot of jibber jabber, the actual gameplay footage and everything they showed, I am very impressed with. They're making a solid effort forward, and that's what I want to see.
Yeah, they needed a breath of fresh air.
And probably one of the best looking, or like coolest things that I saw at E3 this year, I would have to say would be the gameplay of Assassin's Creed 3.
The ships. It's like, okay.
Well, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean.
No,
plus
it's like Sid Meier's Pirates.
Like, I don't know.
Definitely.
I caught that running through the trees, jumping off
running
the
through the
forks.
trees. I mean, you could.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, you could jump in the forks of the trees. You could climb up the trees a lot easier. It was
Kill
like
and go.
you could interact with like everything instead of just
Definitely
when you can't get something you
one of the
climb.
more
It's like-
impressive showings.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
And if they keep the multiplayer aspect like they've been running with Brotherhood and Revelations, it'll be interesting to see how forced combat comes into play as far as assassinations and stuff like that. I mean, they may add some game types we haven't thought of yet.
All I know is they need to make the
battles.
multiplayer way more freaking stealthy in Assassin's Creed, and it just irritates me that half the time people just run around and then shoot you with a gun and then just keep running around and running around. They need to force people to be like really stealthy. Like, I don't know.
I'd
That's
agree
my
with that.
opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's an assassination game. You're trying to stealthily assassinate somebody.
You're playing it like Halo, just
pretty much.
walking stealthy. You're walking like, oh, nobody sees me. This guy doesn't know who I am.
What they need to do is get rid of the mini-map mode. Or the mini-map and everything. They need to get rid of like pretty much everything for your HUD except who your target is, and then you need to just go
and
find
how many targets you have on you. That's kind of I don't know. I found that very.
Yeah, you can keep that, but like other than that, I would
I
not.
don't know. It kind of takes away from the okay, I know someone's after me, but who? Having 3 markers on you just says I have to run like crazy, or else I have to hide in this bush.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that is the post E3 podcast for 16bitaudit.com. Visit us on the website and make sure you check back later in the week because we're going to have a community play date next weekend. Take it easy, guys.
Yes.